Hi guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about where is fear of flying coming from. Now there's many reasons why you want to get rid of fear of flying, because it can prevent you from holiday experiences, meeting friends and everything, or you might suddenly be forced to do it in connection with your work. So I think the first step of your journey is just understanding maybe where is this fear coming from and what can you do about it. So there might be many reasons why you have a fear of flying, but some of the most common reasons are that you've had a bad experience. It could be related to a landing, a feeling of not being informed when something happened on board, or it might be turbulence. Now, whatever the reason for your fear of flying is, what is important is that you don't keep imagining your next coming flight as something that goes wrong. And the reason why we know that is so important on your journey for fear of flying is the way our brains work. Now, we know this after having worked for a long time with a sports psychologist, Freddy Gleisner, who has spent almost his whole working life working with athletes and how they could perform their best. And you might think, what on earth has that to do with fear of flying? Well, I'll tell you, because what we know and what you might recognize is that if you repeat something happening again and again and again, eventually that information or that what you're trying to go through or see again and again gets stored in your subconsciousness. So could it for a second be possible that you have thought about a flight going wrong again and again and again? Now, if you have done that, then what is likely to have happened in that process is that your brain will start thinking this is reality, because this is what you have told it again and again and again. So your journey from having a fear of flying to being not scared of flying might actually be really simple: reprogramming the brain. So the good news is that this is not something that you have to go into a classroom and get taught with a lot of other people, fitting your schedule around someone else's plans or anything. No, this is something that you can actually learn to do at home. So again, together with the sports psychologist Freddy Gleisner, we have developed a do-it-yourself program where you get some tools of how you can reprogram the brain. So what I would like to do with this video is just give you a free insight of how that program works. Now, one of the first things you will have to learn if you want to go through this journey is how to stop the negative thoughts. So the technique is called thought stopping technique. Now, this doesn't mean that you suddenly is like brain dead and you don't have any thoughts at all, but it's just when your brain goes down the familiar road of thinking this goes wrong, you need to have some kind of method of saying stop and regaining focus. Now, the program will tell you how to do that, and you need to practice that skill before you actually move to the next step. So what I have experienced a lot is that people last minute call up us at Ask a Pilot and say, I'm really afraid of flying, can you do something? I'm flying tomorrow. Yes, we can do something, but we're kind of restricted, because that process that we know that works, reprogramming the brain, actually takes a little bit of time. So what we can do, if you only have short time to your departure, is give you some tips, which is also included in this book, of what you can do to maximize your chance of having a good experience. But just to put things into a realistic perspective, unfortunately, fixing fear of flying is not a quick fix. Now, when you have learned how to control your focus and trying to stop the negative thoughts, you can then start exercising thinking through a positive flight. Now, this is of course a little bit difficult for people. So what we have done is, together with Freddy and pilots, we have actually created something called the Inner Movie, which is an audio program where you listen to the audio program, and by repeating that again and again, you get some help to repeat that positive flying experience. Now, depending on where you are on the fear of flying scale, it might not be that easy for you to think anything positive about flying. So to help you get more relaxed, we also teach you some relaxation methods, which again is audio guided by Freddy Gleisner, where he will talk you into a stage. Sounds like you're falling asleep or being hypnotized. It's not like that. But it's just what we want to do is that we want to create the optimum environment around you when you start practicing. And in the beginning, what you might have to do is just get into another room, just letting your surroundings know, unless it's really urgent, don't disturb me the next 20 minutes. And you go through these audio files, getting into a relaxed stage, and then you can start your training. Now, as you become more and more familiar with the processes, it might be something you can do on the way to work. And the beauty of it is that because it's all based on audio, you might have headsets and everything, it's not something people around you can see. It's not like you're sitting reading a book, I have a fear of flying, how do I cure it? It's something that to tackle the shyness or the awkwardness that you might feel about fear of flying, this is something you can do in your own space. The important thing is that you train it regularly, and in the beginning, because you have repeated a negative scenario again and again, of course, before you see any improvement, you need to have repeated that positive journey again and again. Now, often I get asked how soon, how quick can I expect to get a better sort of feeling of flying, and it's really difficult to answer that question because it depends on the degree of your fear of flying. There are also cases where fear of flying is linked or connected to phobia, and the way you treat phobia, it can be different than what I have described here. So I would say I'm not trying to sell you something that works for all types of fear of flying, and it also may be the case that you feel like I'm finding it a little bit difficult to get going here. It's a bit like when you start in the gym, you have the membership to the gym. If some people feel comfortable just reading some guidance and then do some exercises, other people just need a little bit of more one-to-one to learn how the machines work. And it's the same with this training program, is that if you feel like you just need a little bit more guidance, it is possible to get some one-on-one guidance, maybe off of Skype. It doesn't need to be long or expensive. But I'm just saying that the training program is something that you can do in your own time, but typically you can expect, having done it maybe 20-30 minutes twice a week, you will start seeing an improvement over about 2 to 3 weeks. So it's realistic to expect some kind of improvement, I would say within less than a month. Now, what is important is that when you have come to a stage where you feel comfortable about flying again, that you keep it current. So you have to ensure that you don't fall back into the same old feeling, starting thinking about, oh, negative. So you need to have the discipline of continuing to do these training programs. So of course we do know that there are some people that like information, they like answers to questions, and actually that could be something that you feel you require, that you need to know what happens in certain situations and everything. So to satisfy that, we have actually made a booklet where our pilots have sat down and described lots of different situations, how they handle things, and also give you a lot of insight into flying. Now we know that it does not work for everyone to just get answers to all your questions, because what happens is your brain just comes up with new questions. And historically, what we also know is that fear of flying courses that are based on just you getting told, well, this is how safe it is to cycle, this is how safe it is to take the train, and you can see compared to aviation, it's a lot safer. Well, that kind of logic rarely works when it comes to fear of flying, because regardless of what statistical number your brain is getting told, you will still think it could still be me. So really, you really need to get into reprogramming the brain and that subconsciousness if that's how you feel. But you might feel that you have a need of knowing a little bit more. When you think about it, traveling on board an aircraft is not something that maybe your brain would logically think this is safe. Let's get inside this tube and go up 10 kilometers up in the air, travel very fast. Of course, your brain might actually be trying to save you from a danger. So I think it's important that you understand why it is not dangerous to travel. And here, if you feel like that, the booklet or the dictionary we have created about flying might be something for you. If you know already now that you're likely to just get maybe more nervous if you get told about various things, then I'd say don't complete it. Don't read this book, or just use it as a dictionary for short pieces of information. Don't read it from start to finish. So as a closing comment, I hope that you have enjoyed that free advice given this little video. If you feel like you want to know a little bit more, go onto our website and you can actually read a little bit more about what's in the different booklets. Otherwise, if you have any questions or doubts before you buy our product, read the reviews, and otherwise just write to us. We're more than happy to answer your questions. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe, contact us if there's anything, and stay safe.